How does neuroscience help identify moral issues? Imagine trying to figure out what's right or wrong without even realizing it. Neuroscience actually helps us see how our brains do this every day. It shows us how we process moral judgments and make ethical choices. When faced with a moral dilemma, our brain doesn't just think it through like a calculator. Instead, it uses a mix of feelings and reasoning, often at the same time. This helps us understand why sometimes we feel instinctively that something is wrong, even before we can explain why. Scientists have found that certain parts of the brain light up when we think about moral issues. For example, the ventromedial prefrontal cortex becomes active when we consider personal moral dilemmas that involve direct harm. This area is linked to our emotional reactions. On the other hand, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex is involved when we think about more impersonal decisions, like judging fairness or following rules. This part helps us reason through complex moral questions. This dual process explains why our gut feelings can sometimes clash with our logical thoughts. Neuroscience shows us that moral judgment isn't just about thinking hard or feeling strongly. It's a combination of both. When we see someone hurt, our emotional brain reacts quickly. But if we need to decide whether a rule should be broken for a good reason, our reasoning parts kick in. Another key area is the theory of mind, which helps us understand what others believe or intend. This ability is essential for moral judgment because it allows us to see things from different perspectives. When we understand someone's intentions, we can better judge if their actions are fair or harmful. This helps us identify moral issues related to betrayal, honesty, or kindness. Neuroscience also uses brain imaging tools like functional magnetic resonance imaging and event-related potentials. These tools show us how our brain responds at different times during moral decision-making. Early responses are quick and emotional, while later responses are slower and more thoughtful. This timing helps us see how moral issues are first felt and then carefully examined. Knowing how our brain works in these ways helps us understand why people react differently to the same moral problem. It also guides us in making better ethical choices by balancing emotion and reason. For example, in moral education, we can teach people to recognize their emotional reactions and then think through the situation more clearly. In the end, neuroscience maps out the brain processes behind moral judgment. It shows that morality isn't just a matter of personal values, but also a biological function. Our ability to recognize moral issues depends on how our emotional and reasoning systems work together. This scientific view helps us see how humans naturally identify and respond to ethical concerns in everyday life.